Okay, so what is this? This is weighted PlayStation 5 VR playthroughs. Why? Because there comes a certain point when you play any computer game long enough that you've achieved all the built-in challenges, pretty much. And sometimes you fancy a little additional challenge. This is also a fantastic workout. So I do it for fitness. I'm going to keep it brief. I'm going to jump right in and show you what it's all about. Just in case you fancy trying it out yourself. Or just in case you enjoy watching people in pain. So I have already completed a playthrough of both Resident Evil Village on the Village of Shadows mode and Resident Evil 4 on professional mode, albeit with a lot of save scumming, with the gear that I'm about to show you. Okay? And I have recorded those videos, but at the time I didn't realize I was going to go heavier with it. I was just doing it for the challenge. And I have uploaded those videos to the game's channel so that you can enjoy watching those. But I don't have the video, I've just got the footage of the gameplay. I don't have the footage of me playing the game with all this lovely gear on. My niece said that she thought other people would like to watch me doing this stuff. And I suppose it's unusual. I've not seen it done before. And I thought that was a pretty good idea. Why not record the whole process and let other people have a nosy at it? Not just for the entertainment side of things, but to document the process for myself, the achievement for myself, because it's an achievement. You're not going to get an achievement in the game for this, yeah? This is a personal achievement. So, well, why not document the whole process and share it with viewers, because it might be entertaining and it might inspire other people out there to try a similar thing. Am I recommending you do the same thing? Why not, if you like the look of it? If you do, start off with something like this, or a little bit less if you're not comfortable with this kind of weight. So this weight right here is 5 kilos. This is Komodo, a Komodo wrist weight. Okay, it's 5 kilos, and this one is 2 kilos. So it's 7 kilos an arm on both arms. Okay, my arms weigh an additional 7 kilos. This is a 9 kilo vest, which means I was completing the game. I completed both of those games on the hardest difficulties with, and again you can view the footage of the gameplay with what we got, 9, so my bad math comes up, that would be, yeah, 23 kilos, right? That's correct, 23 kilos. Okay, so that is 23 kilos of added body weight. Yeah, 7 and 7, 14 plus the 9 gives you 23. Anyway, this is the gear, okay, that I completed the previous playthroughs with. So, I thought, where do I go from here? Because I've already completed the challenge, right? And it's good hard work, but it gets to a point when you've been wearing this stuff long enough that it's very lightweight. You get to a point where you don't really notice it's there. Don't get me wrong, after 3 hours of gameplay, you start to notice the weight. You do. But I've completed this achievement. So I wanted to move on to the next stage. And I figured, what better way than adding additional body weight? So I've invested in another 9 kilo vest, which means I'll be wearing 18 kilos on my body. But I don't want to stop there. I've almost doubled the weight on my body by also buying 2 more 5 kilo weights for each arm. Oh, that's 1 more 5 kilo weight for each arm. So I'm going to strap up and then I'll explain to you what kind of weight I've got on my body. And I'm going to show you the strap up process from the beginning, because I do something slightly different, because I've tested this stuff out inside the game already, inside the Village of Shadows, just to see if it's going to be achievable. I reckon it's going to be achievable, but it's going to be hard work, okay? But there was a few tweaks I had to make to prevent the weight on my forearms from pulling down over my thumb, because I'm hitting buttons I'm not intending to hit. So what I've come up with is the idea that we're going to wrap these around my wrist, okay? And by wrapping these around my wrist, these are boxing wrist straps. By wrapping these around my wrist before putting this one on, that prevents, and I've tested it, it works, that prevents this one from sliding so far down onto my hand that it interferes with control over which buttons I'm pressing and how I twist and move my wrist. It just gives me greater control over what I'm doing inside of the game. So I'm going to take all this stuff off and start again from the beginning. Okay, so in total, the weight that you're about to watch me strap on is jumping me from carrying 23 kilos on my body all the way to 52 kilos on my whole body, or across my entire body. Okay, that is 18, in fact, we'll count as we go, okay? But it's 52 kilos additional body weight. 52 kilos. Interesting fact on that, and it might interest other people out there in doing the same kind of thing. If a 60 to 70 kilo guy, which is what I weigh about 60 to 70 kilos in total, okay? I'm not a big guy. If a 60 to 70 kilo guy straps 52 kilos of additional body weight to their body, okay, and can perform with 52 kilos additional body weight on their body, they are performing whatever actions it is they're performing in the super heavyweight division. So, I mean, I don't know what 60 to 70 kilos, what weight division that puts you in for boxing or something like that. But you are looking at middleweight sort of thing, yeah? It's, you're not in the heavyweight division of that. You're looking at middleweight, lightweight even to middleweight, okay, at 60 to 70 kilos. So, to be able to perform actions for a guy my body weight, whilst weighing the same actually, whilst being 10 to 20 kilos into the super heavyweight, that's the heaviest body weight division, is an opportunity you don't have under normal circumstances. You don't get to carry that kind of weight. You don't get to throw your arms around when, technically, because the weight's more unevenly distributed, my arms, when I do this, will weigh more than a super heavyweight's arms. And that's something to think about, because I don't distribute it all across my body. The vast majority gets put on the arms and on the very ends of the arms to increase strength. For somebody of my body weight to be able to move arms that are well into and above the super heavyweight fighter's arms is an opportunity that you don't have under normal or natural circumstances. That's interesting to think about when you, in terms of training and control. Because I mean, if at the minute with the weight that I just showed you, the 23 kilos, I'm doing 3-hour sessions. So I'm going into the game. I'm going into these action RPGs, the shooters, for about 3 hours. So I'm training with that kind of weight for 3 hours. And if I double that weight, which is what I'm intending to do with this playthrough, then that time might end up being reduced. But even if it's reduced, it's still going to be a killer workout. Like I said, I've already tested it out, because the process I'm showing you came through a testing process, because all sorts went wrong, which you're going to see later in this video, because you're going to see the first footage, or the first playthrough in this video. But either way, it's going to be a mad good workout. So, in total, on my torso, the record, this is cap, a cap weighted vest. They go up all the way up to 9 kilos. I'm working on a budget, so the things I'm working with are some of the more affordable varieties. You can get them all on Amazon. Okay, this is the cap weighted vest, heaviest they do, which is 9 kilos. 2 of those, that is 18 kilos. Wrist straps, to make sure things can't go down my wrist. The first one, so far, onto that wrist strap. That's 2 kilos, attached very snugly, because this is the one you don't want to move. Okay? That will go nowhere now, because those wrist straps are too thick, and I still have mobility in the wrist, which is what I want. I think this is going to be the setup that I do most of the game with, unless something goes horribly wrong. Something breaks, for example, in which case I'll figure something else out at that time. Things have already gone wrong, but like I said, this is how I found a way around those things that have gone wrong. This is the setup which fixes those issues. So that's 2 kilos on. Next up, we're going to strap 5 kilos to the forearm. Okay, right here. Now, you might say this kind of weight is unnecessary, but it's no more unnecessary than the guy who moves on to pulling an aeroplane because he can pull a car. You know what I mean? I've completed it with the previous weight. Why would I not move on to something heavier? That's the way my brain works. That makes sense to me. And it's no more different than the guy who can pull a car saying, you know what else can I pull? Yeah, see, that's manageable. It's manageable. And a push. It's going to hurt. I already noticed that. Getting used to the previous weight was uncomfortable. So getting used to the 23 kilos with 7 kilos on each arm. That was uncomfortable. This hurts. Like, you can already tell it's gonna hurt. Okay, here we go. Push that one through. This one's always harder because I've got the weight on the other arm while strapping up. So. Then put that one against the ground. That against the. Now I should mention these are the Komodo wrist weights. These 5 kilo ones, okay? These are the Komodo 5 kilo wrist weights. And they are really well put together. They're not going to break in a hurry. They're sturdy. Okay? Very, very sturdy. The Velcro straps on them, even though I'm hanging a chain from that, yeah, the Velcro straps on them are pretty, you can tell they're well made. You know, you can just look at some materials and, oh, hello darkness, my old friend. You can tell by looking at the material that the thing is put together well. Okay? So yeah, for this playthrough, this is the weight that I'm going to be carrying. I can use it, I can move, I can pull a gun, I can point a gun. Does it hurt to point the gun? Yes. But I imagine my body will adapt to get used to using this weight. Can I thrust a knife? I don't need it for Village, but I will need to be able to thrust a knife in Resident Evil 4. Yes. Can I block with a knife? Yes. Do I want to block with a knife? Probably not. But by the time I get to Resident Evil 4, I will have already completed Village. And Village is a good trainer because there's not as much action in Village. If you want to get to the end boss on the Village of Shadows mode with enough resources to beat the boss, you don't fight everything in the game, okay? In fact, you save scum. I do. You save scum, and you use all your resources to build magnum rounds, so by the time you come to the big bosses, in particular the end boss, oh, she's the devil. End boss is the devil on the Village, yeah. You've got enough power bullets to do the job without using pretty much any other weapons. That's the way I do it. Okay. So I spend a lot of time avoiding enemies that I don't have to fight. So I'm going to spend a lot of time with my hands at my side. Only lifting the arms on the bosses, but I will be lifting my arms a lot on the bosses. Because some of those bosses take like a couple of 100 bullets. So 12 kilos per arm with a rifle. Yeah. Or with a handgun. Out to here. Some of them are big. So here, 200 shots. It's gonna be a real fucking challenge, guys. I'm looking forward to giving it my all. It's gonna be hard work. So I hope you, as the viewers, appreciate the journey. I'm gonna appreciate the journey. Because even with half this weight, something I noticed was the feeling of euphoria and achievement when you beat a boss with additional body weight on. It's in a league of its own. It's great. There's a real sense of achievement to it. I suppose, like any physical activity, when you complete a challenge you've set yourself. Yeah, that's it. I don't want to waste too much of your time. I spent 20 minutes explaining. I won't do for the rest of the videos. But this is PlayStation 5 weighted VR playthroughs. And I'm glad to have you with me on this journey into physical hell. Is that too much?
gifts we gave, but more you took, she snarled.
Did you say something?
Nothing. I'll put her down.
It's a fat baby.
Almost there, honey. There you go, sweetheart. Don't you worry. I'll be right downstairs. Daddy won't let those weird fairy tale monsters get you. What did all this? Where the hell am I?
Mother of Jesus.
Maybe they're out? What happened?
That's not good. Okay.
Jesus Christ. What the hell is wrong with this place?
Okay, so first thoughts are it's doable. If I can get them to stay on, it's doable. Believe it or not, when I started with half this weight for the first playthrough, I was just about the same amount of tired. I'm probably tiring a little bit faster with twice the weight, I'm not gonna lie. But it's doable. So I'm gonna have a play with those wrist straps and see if I can get them to stay on my arms more securely. We'll go from there. So at the minute, I've strapped both of the Komodo wrist weights together like this. So one is velcroed like this to the other. That's how I've linked them, which kind of works. It does kind of work. But what's going on is when I'm swinging my arms around in there, which you have to swing your arms around in there. Not as much for Village, more so for Resident Evil 4, which we'll move on to after Village. I'm going to move on to after Village, I reckon. So they were linked together like that. The issue with that is this side never got looped to anything because it sat directly against my forearm. Sat directly against the forearm, and then everything else wrapped around it. So as I'm thrusting the knife, if it can be called thrusting, this is shaking loose, and it's finding its way out. And that's why halfway through you saw my wrist weights hanging out the bottom. So I think what I might try instead is to roll one of these up like a ball on itself and use the Velcro to achieve that effect. You can watch. I think what I might do instead is this. A snug little ball. Then from there, with any luck, yeah, it's got some Velcro to work with. That's good. Yeah, we've got a snug little ball to work with. Somehow secure that to the base of my wrist inside of the other wrist strap. I'll let you know how I get on with that. But yeah, as I was saying, in Resident Evil 4 you need to use and thrust the knife a lot. In Resident Evil Village, it's really only this first fight that you're going to use the knife to kill anything. And that's because the game, in the Village of Shadows mode, unless you start a new game plus when your weapons are already overpowered, the game doesn't give you enough bullets to kill the first guy anyway. So you kind of wait on this glitch that allows you to, when you block, it gives you invulnerable health. I don't think it's a glitch, I think they put it in there on purpose. Maybe to see how badly you wanted to beat the Village of Shadows from a base game. It is possible, but it seems impossible for the first few fights because even when you block against the werewolf, he just keeps hammering you, and he will kill you over and over again. And eventually, your block kind of becomes invulnerable to harm. So I'm going to keep doing that. First, I've got to figure out how to secure these better because, yeah, I'm not going to get anywhere if I can't throw around my arms in there. You need to throw your arms around in these games. I need to be able to thrust my arms. Okay. I'll update you on how we go. Okay, so I think I found another way to do it. Not the way I originally wanted to do it, but it's not the way I really didn't want to do it. The way I really didn't want to do it, and a way that would work, would be to strap one of these Komodo, this weight, upper arm, to this part of my arm right here, yeah, the bicep and tricep, and then strap the other one to the forearm. The reason I didn't want to do that is because although it would be the same kind of weight for the shoulders, it wouldn't be the same kind of weight for the biceps all the way through. So my arms, my upper arm, would not be carrying the same kind of weight. By putting it on the end of my forearm rather than up here, it increases the strain on both the shoulders and the upper arms, and it also puts a little extra work on the forearms because they have to work a bit harder. So yeah, I don't want to cheat. You know, I know it's a lot of weight, so it's not really cheating. But if I'm going to do it, I want it to be hard. Otherwise, I don't see the sense in doing it. I've already done it with weight, so and that was hard. It should be hard. So I don't want to cheat. So here's the way I'm going to do it. You've got these loops right here. See if I can snap it up. Those loops that we mentioned a moment ago. These ones, okay. Got it wrapped up in a ball. I'm going to put this one on in the standard way. However, we're going to do something a little different when we come time to strapping it on. What I'm going to do is loop that through along with, like that. Okay? And then same on this side. We're going to loop through there. Loop through that side. Loop through that side. Loop through that hook. Loop through that hook. And loop through the final hook. Okay. And then I imagine the weight of the one that I've attached, of the second one, it's got to pull the first one. Is going to go to the lowest point of gravity. Yeah, it's going to rotate around my forearm like that. But check that out. It's attached, and because it's moving around freely down there, it adds more of a random element. It's definitely more difficult to manage because the weight is floating on the bottom there. The only thing that might occur is at some point it might actually break my straps, because you've got that single bit wrapped around. You've got that single bit of chain or hanging on a single position on the Velcro strap. So it's not ideal, but it'll do for now until I can maybe figure something else out. This is always going to be the case if you want to put lots and lots of weight on your body with attachable weights. Same with the vest. There are weighted vests that weigh twice as much as this, but are smaller. They're more compact. Yeah, there's weighted vests that weigh twice as much as this, but that are more compact. But if you want a budget, see, I'm budgeting. If you want to do this on a budget, you are going to be carrying more bulk. It's going to be more awkward. It's going to be more difficult. But that's probably a good thing, right? If you want it to be difficult. Okay. Take 2. Okay, back in. Back in. Go on, you fucker. Come on. Oh, okay. You little shit. Oh, no. It's doable. It is doable, I think.
Oh, okay. That's pretty brutal. Okay. What the fuck? Go on. Okay. Okay. Just waiting on that invulnerability, guys. Just waiting on that. It's no use using all your bullets yet. Okay. Oh, bear with me. Bear with me. Okay. Maybe one bullet wouldn't hurt. Oh my god, no. Oh my god. I can't even reach my recoveries. Holy shit. Okay. Believe it or not, this beginning of this game is actually one of the hardest parts of the entire game. It's matched by the bosses. The bosses in this game are epic. They're a real challenge. But the beginning part of this game is one of the hardest parts on the Village of Shadows mode. Not on the standard mode, it's not as difficult, but on the Village of Shadows it's nightmarish. It's a good test for if the rest of the game's actually going to be possible wearing this gear. Go on, you fuck. God. Yeah. Oh, bastards. Go on. Yep, it's glitched. good. Motherfucker. I can't even point the gun. Sorry guys, I'm pushing every button. Oh my god. Holy Jesus.
What the hell?
Holy Mother of Jesus. Ugh. Oh my god. Bear with me while I die a moment. Oh my god. Okay. Now let's get some goodies. Let's get some loot. I'll tell you what though, guys. It's a good fucking workout. It is a really good workout. Okay. Okay. Oh, I need to find a way of securing these better still, but it's not ideal. Okay guys, so God. So I think I'm going to call it there for the night, guys, for the first playthrough. We've got a checkpoint. I don't need to get to a save point. We've got a checkpoint. We can continue the story from there. I'm pretty sure. I'm going to sleep on it. Have a think about my current setup. See if I can't improve it. But that is a good little test run. Yeah. Get stuffed. Go on. Okay. Yeah.
Gonna jump out of there now. Things like this. These wrist straps. They're riding lower than they usually do because there's more weight up top, which means I'm hitting buttons I'm not intending to hit, and a variety of other issues. Once we get the setup, oh my god, once we get the setup down there, it should be plain sailing. So for now, I'm just figuring out how best to set all this stuff up. I'm sweating. Look at this, I'm shiny. I've got beads of sweat pouring off my hair. It's a good workout. Really good workout. Feeling quite positive about that.
That first little bit is one of the hardest bits. This next bit is another one of the hardest bits. And then the bosses are difficult in their own right. But yeah, I'm just adjusting to the weight. I remember struggling almost as much with half this weight. So hopefully my body will just adapt and I'll be able to move just as efficiently with this gear by the end of a couple of playthroughs as I was with half this weight. I'm feeling positive about this. It's been a good first video. Thank you for joining me. If you like this content, watch the next video. Sign up for more. You can also view the previous weight where I carried 7 kilos an arm, 7 kilos per arm, and a 9 kilo vest. But like I say, I'm now carrying 12 kilos per arm, and I've got 18 kilos across 2 vests, 2 9 kilo vests. So it's a little more work, a lot more weight to play with. But yeah, I'm gonna sit down and watch some TV for a few hours, sleep on it, and have a think about the best way to set up this gear. I might continue using it in this exact same way, in the way that I've used it in this video, but I might make some adaptations, find a way of securing it better to my forearms, that kind of thing. But if not, it's usable, and the playthrough seems doable, if a little slice of hell. I hope you'll join me for the rest. Take care of yourselves, and bye bye now.